Today we have one for all the anime fight fans out there as we check out Dragon Ball Z Burst Limit. There have been a large number of games made of this popular manga and anime series, but this is the first time it's come to 360 and PS3. Now, sadly, the game doesn't really take advantage of this wider market and is still aimed pretty squarely at existing fans of the franchise, with very little explanation of setting, characters or plot. That said, this is a straight-up fighter with no difficult moral choices involved, and you don't really need to know the backstory to appreciate beating the crap out of someone else with solid fight mechanics and rather gorgeous cartoony graphics. Combat is pretty nice in this game with a fast and fluid pace and a decent range of moves. It's easy to pick up the basics so you can get going straight away, but there's also a lot of depth which will take practice and skill to master. You can access things like super attack or the key-based ultimate attack and aura actions with fairly simple combos, so even a complete novice will get some range and power early on. However, a lot of the more sophisticated techniques for things like dodging or crushing through an enemy's guard rely on timing and are really quite a challenge to get down. For the uninitiated, there are some pretty detailed tutorials and a training area where you can practice. Interesting innovations include a fatigue bar, which if it becomes full, will render you too tired to move. As frequent dodging fills the bar, it discourages too passive a style of play, but in practice you don't really notice it very much. Another innovation is drama pieces. At the start, you select from a range of cutscenes which can then occur at a random point in the battle, and which do have some effect on it. For example, your partner could come in and break up a particularly nasty clinch, dealing some damage to your opponent.
You? How can you still stand? Piccolo! Now! Special beam cannon! Darn it!
It's a nice idea, helping to give more of a community feel to the characters and adding something to a battle without ruining it, as the effects aren't usually big enough to swing a whole battle in an unfair and broken kind of way. But the scenes themselves can get a little irritating once you've heard them a few times, especially the cheesy motivational ones.
Believe in your own power!
But thankfully you can turn this off in Versus mode. There are 3 play modes: Z Chronicles, which is the campaign mode, Versus, where you can play against the CPU, a local opponent or online, and Trial, where you compete for rank in themed challenges. Now, to be honest, these are a bit samey, and the plot holding the campaign together is very thin, so even this is basically just a series of fights. Although I guess that is kinda like Dragon Ball Z anyway. And it is a good way to make sure you encounter all the different opponents, and of course it enables you to unlock more characters to play and a raft of other content too. But as with many games of this nature, you'll probably get the most value out of the Versus mode, and this is a great one for playing with a bunch of mates. The fights are fun, it's good looking and well animated enough to be entertaining to watch as well as play, and the cartoony style helps keep things light-hearted. I'm going to give this a pretty solid 3 stars.